Give me the money, man.
Please don't hurt me.
Give me the money or I'll give you the knife.
Please take this. Don't hurt me.
Not bad. What else do you got?
Hey buddy, if it's money you're after, I got a loan here for you. And it's interest free.
Who the hell are you?
I'm Regular Woman, here to save the day. It's been very nice meeting you, but it's time for you to leave.
Please, no more. I'll never do crime again, regular woman. You've made me see the error of my ways. I'm sorry.
Well, as much as I believe you, pal, I'm still gonna have to take you in. You may be a changed man, but you'll have to uphold the law and make sure you pay for your crimes.
Yeah, that makes sense. I understand completely. Every upstanding member of the community should know when to do the right thing, even if that is the hardest thing to do.
Would you say there's something innately wrong or immoral about wanting to be a bystander and choosing not to be proactive?
I think it very much depends on the situation. I can see many occasions where it is immoral to be a bystander, but then there are other occasions where not everybody needs to be the champion who is always fighting for something. It really does depend what it is and what are the consequences of either taking action or not taking action, because I think there are clearly times when it is wrong to not take action, it is morally wrong, whereas other times it's, you choose your battles to fight. As I say, we can't all be superheroes all the time.
I guess going through my head is, if this guy jumps over the first rail, am I going to jump over there with him?
So he's gone down, smashed his head in the concrete, stopped breathing.
Yeah, it was probably easily the worst day of my life. I would say the morning of the day was just like any other morning. It had been raining. That day, a lady, she was wearing these leather boots with these heels, and her heel just missed the carpet, and she slipped and then falls over. The way that she was crying out sounded unusual, so I thought maybe she doesn't speak English or whatever. So I came over and I was like, "Can I help you? Can I help you?" And I took off my jacket and I put it under her head, but she wasn't responding. And then it made me realize that she was actually deaf. Then the ambulance came and they took her off. And then I realized I didn't have my jacket. My tutor was there and was like, "Well, we didn't know it was yours, so we sent it to the hospital with her." And I was just like, oh no. So I get on the tram. This guy across the lane from me, he just drops his bag. I realize he's having a grand mal seizure. I stopped the tram driver, and once again, sitting there waiting for another ambulance to arrive, stuck in the middle of the road on the tram. And I look out the window and nothing looks familiar. Turns out I got on the wrong tram. Yeah, it was probably easily the worst day of my life.
A group of young kids, hoodies on, run up behind this other guy that they've been having an altercation with. One of them throws a punch, hits him in the back of the head. So he's gone down, smashed his head in the concrete, stopped breathing. People go after the ones that were running. I'm better with the first aid and stuff like that, so I generally stick around. I used to have to do it a lot at the pub. The things that were going through my head was actually surprisingly little, which I sort of thought about afterwards. I didn't really feel affected. And then as he was taken away by the ambulance, police let us all go, and I headed off to the next job. It's just sort of the attitude, you know, like people get knocked out all the time, people get injured all the time, and we know people die from getting king hit. It's just a reality, you know.
We would have been driving around, basically received a job over the radio to say there's a car parked on the side of the Westgate Bridge, which was, you know, a reasonably sort of common occurrence back then. But the instant reaction to that is that, yeah, somebody's pretty much already jumped off. So 50 metres away from the car, there's a guy sort of standing on the side of the road, and he's pretty much sort of peering out over the bridge, and it was kind of like, oh, you know, good, he's still here, kind of thing. We established that, you know, the guy obviously wasn't travelling too well. He was thinking about throwing himself off the bridge. I asked him, you know, if he wanted to speak to somebody. He said we could arrange for him to speak to somebody. He was happy with that, so we got him to come and jump in the back of the van. And my partner, sort of about a minute into the trip, you know, and we were both sort of sitting there quietly, and he's just sort of looked at me, and he sort of shakes his head and he goes, I can't believe that. And I'm sort of like, what? And he goes, I actually thought the guy had just gone up there to look at the view.
If I could replay that day, I probably wouldn't leave my jacket behind, for one.
I don't think there really was anything I could do. I mean, you know, the distance I was at, even when I saw the signs, and the other guard saw the signs too, it's just none of us were in any sort of range that we could have gotten into it.
The fact that it was a good outcome, a good result, yeah, I think we handled it fairly well.
What does it mean to be a lifesaver?
It's not an emotional thing, it's not a dramatic superhero thing, it's just this event happens, do this process, and hopefully you get the best outcome.
I'd probably just say it's what it means to be human.
You know, do the best you can and have a go, and don't sort of turn around and walk away. That's, I guess, the worst thing you can do, I suppose, because you might actually be able to help.
Despite what a lot of people believe in humans being inherently violent, we're actually inherently cooperative, a cooperative species, and that's mainly how we actually evolved to what we are today, is through dependency and cooperation. So I think being a lifesaver is just another aspect of being human.
I am a firm believer that laughter is potentially possible in any situation. Any serious situation, any ceremonial situation, any situation, I think, is always fair game, fair ground for a clown to address. We had our second child, Carlos. We knew he was to be born with a congenital heart defect. So he had surgery when he was very young, at 3 days old. So there was a certain inevitability about me performing as a clown doctor, given my history as a performer, my history with many of the people who were working as clown doctors, and then my new association with the hospital through my son's health issues. Same height as me now. He's 14 years old, but gee, they grow up. The great thing about the Humour Foundation and about clowns in the Humour Foundation and the work we do in the hospital, really what sets us apart from any other performers or other organisations that work in the hospital with kids, is the nose. Some kind of iconic, it's time to subvert and play. It's time to take this reality and forget about it and go somewhere else, go under. The nose, the clown nose, is an extraordinary object. Kisses on the bottom, I'll be glad I got 'em. I'm gonna smile. Dr. Achu.